So with modding, usually you'll mod your bike because you got some cosmetic changes, you want a louder exhaust, or you need heated grips that didn't come from the factory, various little bits like that. But you see, in my head I thought, well, the S1000RR is the cream of the crop from BMW, and I'm so fortunate to have this. And I thought, well, it's a lot of money, but at the end of the day, it's gonna come with everything. I mean, what could I possibly want to put on it? It's got everything: heated grips, up and down shifter, sat nav, media screen.
A few moments later.
And more. I could go on and on about the extras that are on this bike. So in my head, I thought, nah, I'll get the bike. What could I possibly add to it that the boffins at BMW haven't already? I mean, for Christ's sake, they got fancy job titles and degrees, you know. Shit, what would I know? Well, it turns out I do think I know a little bit more than BMW, because I can't stop fucking buying stuff to put on this amazing machine. So what was going to be only a couple of mods has turned out to be quite a little bit more. Let me show you a little rundown on the bike. So the first mod, I have video a bit more in depth on this, is the R&G Crash protection. So we have the symmetrical crash pucks or bungs at the front. So you can see here, when you look from the front, they stick out symmetrically, which is why you have that bracket on the other side. A lot of mixed feelings for this. People say, you know, if they dig in, they do more damage than good. I mean, for me, my problem is BMWs have a weird weight to them, where it's a heavy bike and you just can't tip it too far without, you know, all the weight being on you, and I'm not strong enough to keep it up, which is why moving it around my driveway, it had a little drop to the floor. Again, you can see it on the video where I come through, but that's why I've got the R&G protection running down the bike, just to stop basically a little drop more than a crash. Worth noting, these brake and clutch levers are about £30 each. I think they look nice. I think they give a sort of aggressive edge to the bike, but they are very light when you take them out of the package. There's no weight to them at all, and I was quite concerned about that, but I've had them on a good 3 months plus, done a lot of high speed and low speed on the bike. No vibes coming through than what was there on the original, so no worry with that at all. What I also did with the R&G Crash protection is I got this puck extender. As you can see, I do some country roads, so you know, the kickstand's quite pointy and digs in, so that's hit and miss. I mean, because it's quite a bit higher as well, that you can see, sometimes when you're moving it around, it catches the ground a bit more and flips up, but it obviously does the job of not sinking it into the ground, which is the main reason I got it. And then we have the PowerBronze double bubble screen. Now, the wind deflection on this bike as stock is really good. Like, you know, you get up to a ton and you don't feel the wind on you at all if you're in the tuck position. What this double bubble does is literally, you know, when you're on a racetrack, that is, you could be looking down at skywards of 130 plus miles an hour and you just can't feel it at all. It just goes straight over you. I've got the light smoke, which is, you can see here, a really nice color. When your head's in the bubble, you can see out, no issues at all. It is, from a function point of view, absolutely fantastic. I mean, this just takes the wind off you so much more than the stock, and the stock is really good. So from a function point of view, very, very impressed with this. But from an aesthetics, I'm not quite sold. I think I might go darker and go back to a single bubble. I just think looks wise it's a little bit too high, but let me know what you think down below. The next massive change to the bike were rear sets. So we have the Gilles rear sets here, and that just it's meant to be the same position as the ones before, but it's slightly up a bit. I like them. They make me feel a little bit more confident. They match the whole black theme that I'm doing. You can see here I've put in the red anodized bolts just to match the spring, just to give it a little bit of bit more drama to it, shall we say. The foot pegs themselves are a little bit shorter than the stock, so took a little bit of getting used to that with moving my foot around on the peg, but they're very good. I do recommend them. They're also one of the cheaper ones at £450, but something to bear in mind is on this side I've got quite a bit of scuffing on here. Now I've only been wearing my Rev'It Rodeo boots. There's a review on my channel if you're interested in them, over winter, so a bit disappointing in that. I mean, you can just buy this 2 bolts out, replace the carbon fiber bit, but it's not polishing out for sure, but that's just something to bear in mind. Aside from that, everything else on it really lovely. And then we have the Pro Race slip-on exhaust. So I didn't want to get, you know, the whole ASBO of putting on a straight through exhaust, so all this is a slip-on can. You see there, I think it fits the bike really nicely, makes it look looks a little bit more aggressive than the standard can. But the main thing is obviously the noise. Anyone who's got one of these bikes know the biggest disappointment is the soundtrack, unless you got the Akrockovich straight through, and that's just too loud. Whereas what this can has done, and I will do a separate video covering it a little bit more, but what it's done is below 4,000 RPM, not a lot of difference to the stock, but above 4,000 RPM, it's certainly louder. Not twice as loud, but louder, just the right level, I would say. But on roll off, the pops and bangs are really lovely, make you smile all the time. Really easy to fit, literally just take your guard off there, sleeve over the top, do up the nut, and then just put your bracket on here. Because of my Gilles rear sets, that didn't sit quite right, so I had to manhandle it a little bit more than you probably think that you should, but then it went on absolutely fine. The next thing to note is the rear fender eliminator. The stock one comes out really quite ugly, whereas this is the NRC fender eliminator, and it's really low profile, fits in really nicely. You can see under there. One thing to note, however, is the feedback from my friends when we're riding in the group and they're behind me. As you can see, I've got my left indicator on, and with the plate in the way, it's not that visible. I mean, obviously this is the EU version, so you got the orange blinkers as opposed to the red that's on the American. Now, there are 2 ways of having your plate. Obviously the UK legal way, and then in some states in America you can have your plate mounted here, which looks a hell of a lot better and obviously wouldn't block your indicator. But over here we have to have the plate like that, so I think what I'm going to do is get a smaller show plate, which isn't exactly fully legal but will make the indicator a little bit more visible, and just fit the bike, because aside from that niggle, the looks of it really nice, really easy to install. All in all, I think it was about 350 quid with the shipping, but yes, it definitely improves the bike massively. See, I'm trying to go with a whole black bottom theme and keeping the Hockenheim silver at the front, so I've got a few little visual tweaks still to do, but I think, you know, the subtle mods that I'm doing to bring out the black at the bottom, I quite like them, but I'm getting mixed sort of feedback from the lads about losing the front mudguard here. So you see, that's normally the Hockenheim silver, and I've changed this to the black to match in its black theme. So let me know what you think, whether the black's working or if I should swap that back for Hockenheim. Now here's a mod you need to do straight out of the factory, and that is the radiator guard. For me, you know, this whole black theme I'm doing below, so with the underside of the bike being black, obviously it made sense to have the black guard. But from a practical point of view, they're a bitch to fit, so get the factory to do it. It costs 60 quid, and obviously it protects your radiator, which is quite exposed, and you certainly don't want any stones flying up in there and ruining your day. Another cheap little mod I did, and this was more of a lockdown boredom thing, was I bought some tyre wall paint. And you can see from this side I haven't done. So it's quite plain and boring. And if I come around to the other side, the tyres just jump out a little bit more on you, where I've painted the Bridgestone and the S21 on here. So, I mean, I did a really crap job of the paint. Need to go over it. I mean, look at that on the end. But you get the point that it's it just gives it a little bit of drama, which I quite like, and it's kept me busy. We have the QuadLock stem mounts, very simple mod to do. I've got a video again on the channel comparing QuadLock to SP Connect. I think you know, it's looks quite good on the bike, but it's extremely handy, you know, when you just want to put your phone on there, clip it on, be able to control your music. Even though you've got it built into the dash, it's a lot easier to just have your phone there and touch it. So QuadLock is a nice little mod for any bike. A couple of little hidden things to take note of. Under here I got my battery tender, so this pulls out so I can put it onto my Optimate. And over here I've got my lead for my warm and safe heated gear, which will tuck back in and again be out of the way. So nice little convenience mods there. Went with the M levers. The stock levers are fine, nothing really to say about it, but obviously these are a little bit premium. You've got that in case you drop it, which, you know, I'm prone to do. But you know, it's it looks quite nice. I think it matches here with the blue. I didn't want too much blue on the bike, but I got them secondhand for half price, so you can't argue. And so the last mod on this little merry-go-round is the chain. Now, the BMW stock chain, standard chain that comes with the bike, is absolutely shit. You just show it a picture of water and it will rust straight away. I've never had a chain like it. I mean, literally, you go out for a ride, if there was any moisture in the air, you're gonna have to clean your chain and put some more lube on it. It was really bad. I was thinking about the BMW Enduro chain, but I came across this chain here, which I'll put a link in the description because I can never remember the name of it. It's about 50 quid more, so it's 150 quid. It's a gold chain, although you can't really see it too much because of all the chain lube I got on at the moment because the roads are just awful. But it has black front plates to it. I'll put a better picture because it's not really doing it justice here. But again, it is subtle. It adds into my black theme going through. It is a brilliant chain, race high speed chain, and also will hopefully be very low maintenance.